Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
Hey, welcome back, everybody. Want to share a wonderful organization located in Canada, but inspiring around the world that empowers athletes and their mobility in sports. And I'm talking about the Ontario Wheelchair Sports Organization. Doug Hannum is the man behind it. He's back with us. Hey, Doug, how you doing today?
Hey, Steve, I'm great. Good to see you and good to be part of this yet again. It's a special day. We have a special guest.
We do. It's like so great. We have never done a Zoom video before, so this is great to finally meet you. And tell me who we have here with us today.
Okay, so this is Claire Buchanan. Claire is a member of our staff, and she specializes in wheelchair basketball. And certainly, one of the reasons I wanted to have her on today to chat with her is her great wealth of experience in the high performance world. She's competed at the highest level in wheelchair basketball and currently competing at the highest level in para hockey. And she can probably tell you a little bit better than I. So, Claire, I'm going to turn it over to you to tell us a little bit more about you, and then we'll have a chat.
Absolutely. So, to give you kind of Cole's notes before we get into questions, I was born with a disability, spina bifida, and got into para sports at age 12 and played everything from para hockey, wheelchair basketball to track and field. Landed a wheelchair basketball scholarship to the University of Alabama, went there, and I spent close to a decade in the national team program with wheelchair basketball and just hit year 10 with the national team with para hockey. So sports has summed up and taken up a lot of my life, and I am very grateful and lucky that I also get to work in para sports as well.
Wow. When you say work in para sports, how do you mean?
So I am one of the high performance coordinators with the Ontario Para Network, and my main focus is wheelchair rugby and wheelchair tennis. But with my experience, I also dabble a little bit and help around with wheelchair basketball here and there as well. So been there almost coming up on 2 years now.
Wow.
So Steve, just so you know, when I joined the organization had never had any staff with any kind of disability or any background like this. So of course they hired me, which was the first step. And then I had an opportunity to chat with Claire and interview Claire for a position. And so she's the first athlete that we've ever had on staff. She's a terrific fit. She knows so many of the players and individuals, and of course can speak from experience. And so she not only does she work on rugby, but she actually goes out there to those schools you and I have talked about before, and is an ambassador in the school program. She's a great speaker. She's inspirational. Yeah. So just a little more background in terms of how she joined us and how great she is to be a member of our team.
Wow. Like, it blows my mind that you do so many different sports, or at least involved in so many different sports. You know, many of us, I'm lucky if I get to play tennis 4 times a year. I'm not even kidding. What's your favorite? Does it gravitate, or do you always have one that you have a true affinity for? How does it feel?
This is going to sound like the most Canadian answer, but hockey, through and through. It was the first sport I did try, and it's come full circle that I am now with the women's national team, who only got started just over a decade ago. They're pretty new. It's a pretty new national team, and we're kind of still in the building stages of getting women's para hockey to the Paralympics. So to be able to kind of be part of that path and kind of creating the gateway for the next generation of hockey players is something that is a lot more exciting when that's included instead of just being a hockey player. Like if we were already there, it's just made the journey that much more sweeter to kind of create change.
I learned last time Doug and I got together, and I'm sure that many people think the way I was thinking when we say Para-Olympics, para-hockey, paralyzed. That's the first word that comes to mind. That's not what we're talking about here. Claire, could you repeat it for us again, what that word means?
Yes, that is the biggest misconception of the Paralympics is that when people hear the para part of it, they think about people with that have a paraplegic disability, and that's not it at all. The Paralympics is made up of all sorts of different disabilities, whether they're acquired or born with the disability. But the para in Paralympics means that it's parallel to the Olympics. The athletes train the same. We treat sport the same, and we're doing the same things outside of our arenas to create change for sport as well. And so it's just really a good reminder when that conversation gets brought up because
Yeah.
yeah, it's a big misconception.
Looking at these sports and my knowledge through Doug, it seems like a lot of the rules, and when we talk about parallel to other sports, are very similar. There's a couple of nuances, a little changes here and there, but by and large, a lot of the rules are the same. Am I getting that right?
Absolutely. So I'm going to give three examples actually. Wheelchair rugby, wheelchair basketball, and para hockey. If you look at their able-bodied sports, a lot of the rules are the same. When you think about wheelchair basketball, the court is the same size, the net is the same height. You're using the same basketball. And rugby, similar. I'm still in my second year. I'm so happy to be able to working with wheelchair rugby because I'm still learning so much about the sport itself. But yeah, very similar rules to its able-bodied counterpart as well. And para hockey, same ice, same goalie, same size net, same amount of people on the ice. But the fun factor in para sports is that it's all full contact. It's when you put people in a chair or on a sled and have that extra piece of equipment, it elevates that excitement for the game because there's so much contact.
Mm. The first thing that comes to my mind is you never know what's going to happen. Now, with regular sports, a player could be moving down the ice, the court, whatever, and you kind of know where it's going to go to a large degree. You know, you watch the puck, the ball, whatever. Here, it could change in a second. Like it's one player could, spin this way, that way. You never know what's going to happen. I think it's actually more exciting.
It is, and that's exactly the reaction that you get from people that are experiencing parasport for the first time.
Mm.
I love being in those spaces where I get to experience those people experiencing it for the first time, and that's the reaction you get. You get, wow, that is way more exciting than stand-up basketball, or that was a way more physical game than a stand-up hockey game. Yeah, it's
Mm.
because of the equipment. Like the equipment is so at that level when you're at the national team level and at the Paralympics, the equipment is so fine-tuned to the millimeter of being custom to each specific athlete and their disability and their position in that sport that yeah, they can really do anything on the like turn of a dime kind of thing in the equipment.
I wasn't aware of that. Yeah, that you mentioned that. How fine-tuned to each player are the chairs?
Literally to a millimeter. Each athlete,
Wow.
when they order either a sports chair or a sled or anything, it's custom fit by they measure everything, not just height, not just length, but yeah. And
Wow.
every disability, that's the unique thing in parasports as well, is that every single body looks different and needs different things according to their disability. So you'll get single amps, or someone is missing three fingers on one hand, so they need an adjustment that way. There's so many different things that come into play in parasports, and Yeah, the equipment itself is unique and also expensive.
Mm,
Yeah, we've talked about that before, Steve and I. We've talked about the tremendous cost of the equipment. So, a couple of things that I take out of that, what we haven't spoken of, Steve, is a support staff to any team is critical, regardless of the sport, right? You have equipment manager and that kind of thing. But I kind of feel like, and you tell me if you agree, Claire, that in para sport, those equipment people are so much more important just because of what you say, in that the chairs are so fine tuned and the equipment is so fine tuned. I mean, you're going to see adjustments right in the middle of a game, more so than I would say in any other sport. I don't know if you agree, Claire, but that's certainly what I get the feeling, and how critical those support staff are.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And it does happen in the middle of a match. Someone blows a tire or bends a
mm,
caster, and that equipment manager has to be quick because
wow.
you have to use up a timeout. In most sports, if it's taking too long, you have to use up a timeout. So you have to be fast to be able to do that. And you have to know each athlete and each chair and what each person needs on that chair as well.
Lose a tire. I didn't even think of that. Never even came
Yep.
into my mind. So are you talking now? All right, rewind. Is there's not air in these tires, correct?
Yes, there
There.
is.
Whoa.
Yeah. So at a split second, you can literally pop a tire. And so
Wow.
a lot of athletes at the highest level, you'll see actually have an extra entire chair.
Mm.
Jeez.
One because just for convenience, but also you never know during travel or competition when if your frame breaks. Yeah, you can replace tires and stuff pretty quickly, but if your actual frame of your chair or your sled breaks at a competition, if you don't have an extra chair, you're kind of running around to find the closest welder. And if you're in a
Jeez.
foreign country with a language barrier and all that stuff, it becomes a couple of days of waiting around. So
My gosh. What the things I'm learning here. I'm gonna go deep for a second, Claire. Have you ever been substantially injured?
yeah, last season I sustained quite a big concussion that had me out for almost 9 months.
Whoa.
But at that level, we also get the best medical staff as well. So not rushing things and making sure that the recovery is tailored to each athlete and lifestyle
Gee.
and stuff like that. So the
Hmm.
process may seem like it was long, and it felt long, but in the long run, my brain is healthier and better for it. So yeah, I was out almost the entire season. I played one tournament that year.
What sport was that?
That was para hockey.
Mm. I'm trying to remember, and I'm not looking online here, but I've seen some of these sports played without helmets.
Oh no, helmets are definitely required in para
Always?
hockey. In
Uh,
para
In
hockey
hockey, anyway.
specifically.
Yeah, basketball and
Basketball,
rugby, no.
no,
okay, that's why.
no.
Okay.
Wheelchair
Yeah.
sports, I think track is the only one
Mhm. Yeah.
that requires a helmet of some sort. But yeah.
Mm, wow. Just not to jump down that rabbit hole, but what happened that caused that concussion?
Honestly, it was a pretty common hockey hit in the corner. I was so one of the first things that you learn in para hockey, one is how to fall over and get back up because that happens a lot.
Mm,
But the second one is how to not only get hit safely, but hit other people safely. One, because we're sitting, so we don't have the give of the boards that stand-up hockey players do. We don't bounce back like they do, and so that concrete barrier at the bottom of the boards, that is what we're hitting each other into. So if you're too far away from the boards, which I was when I got hit, you can really get some serious injuries in there, not just your head, but your shoulders. And yeah,
yeah.
it's definitely it's a dangerous place to be in para hockey, is right in the corners there.
It's a dangerous place to be in any hockey game. Like, it
Yeah.
doesn't matter. We're talking para hockey or whatever. Have you seen, a good hockey game? There's injuries. It's going to happen, unfortunately for you, but you bounce back and you're back at it. Um, did you ever think when you were younger, you'd be doing this now?
No, for one, I'm just grateful that my parents reached out and found organizations that gave me the opportunity to try various sports. Living in the GTA, there is a plethora of them, and they're the organizations now that I get to physically work with. So no, did I think that my
Mm,
entire life was going to revolve around sport? Not in a million years. Is it a dream come true? Yeah, I'm a big sports nut. Like I love waking up every day and having my entire day filled with it. And I start my day off watching highlights and I end my day watching sports on the TV as well. So
mm.
yeah, I'm kind of living the
Wow.
dream right now. Yeah.
How does it feel to you knowing that you're inspiring others and more importantly, inspiring those who, have physical challenges and might not think that they, have the mobility to do fun stuff like this? How does that feel?
Yeah, you hear some stories, meeting people in the parasport world of one, they sometimes don't realize that those options or opportunities are out there. So it's important, and it's one of our biggest things that we try to do just on a continuous basis with On Para is getting into rehab centers and having try it days to put it out in the public
Hmm.
and do as many things as we can to say, hey, these things exist for one, and you can either do them just for fun or you can really have a true, like, fulfilling athletic career in a sport as well, no matter what disability you have.
Are there careers in this? I wasn't even aware. Like
Yeah.
true.
Yeah, so sports, more developed sports, for example, like wheelchair basketball, they have European leagues, and you can go
Wow.
overseas and be a professional wheelchair basketball player and get a paycheck for playing wheelchair basketball, which is pretty cool. So, um, part of the Paralympic movement is to make sure that those opportunities uh, are there for disabled athletes and their sports, and it'd be pretty cool to see other sports get to that where you can go overseas and get played to play para hockey
Hmm.
or bocce or so it does exist in some parasport worlds, but it's pretty rare still.
So cool.
I would
No,
say, yeah, no, I was just going to say, Steve, just as far as our national team athletes are concerned, and Claire can attest to this, even though they're not compensated, it's more or less a full-time job, like many Olympic athletes, right? Some Olympic athletes may have endorsement deals or support from their universities and that kind of thing, and some para athletes do as well. But most of our para athletes, they're doing it on their own time, and it's pretty much a full-time job because when they're not on court, they're in the weight room, they're training, and as I say, it can easily be a full-time job. We just like it would be great if it could be a little more compensated.
sure.
Yeah,
I don't know how you guys do what you do. The so much is involved. I mean, the chairs alone, Doug. When we talked about that a few podcasts back, the price of the chairs.
yeah.
Um, why don't we circle back in the time we have just for a moment on that? That's a huge undertaking financially.
It is, and really, those rugby chairs are so expensive. $10,000, $15,000. And as Claire said, when you're getting to that high level, and we've got the Paralympics coming up, and so we've got seven of our athletes on the team, that maintaining those expensive chairs and keeping them in operation is critical, and just because of how much they are. And we have our athletes coming to us quite frequently asking for financial support to in some cases buy a new chair, and that's their biggest challenge. I can think of two national athletes in particular who are really struggling to get a new chair, and there's only so much we can do because we have limited funds and there's some federal funding, but that's definitely a big challenge, especially when you get to those higher levels, because you can't just have a basic chair. You've got to have that fine-tuned machine that Claire was talking about. Yeah.
Unbelievable. I know you're looking for sponsors if anybody wants to step forward and support in any way. And what's available if a company, individual wants to get involved?
Yeah, absolutely. And always, as always, Steve, thanks for the opportunity to say this. Yeah, we're always looking for financial support. I've spoken about this before. The government gives us very little. They've cut back recently. So we're looking for corporate sponsors that can step up and help us out. And the great thing is we're really good at sponsor recognition. So they get recognition on our website, all of our social media, all of our special events. And we really think they're a great return. And what I always say about sponsorship with us, Steve, is that this is going to really show your corporate citizenship, that it's an ideal way of showing how you can give back and making a positive impact. So yeah, if there's anybody out there looking to support us with a donation or as a sponsorship, reach out directly to me. My phone number is 416-707-5947, or my email, Doug, DOUG, @onpara.ca. And happy to talk about it. Happy for any kind of support. We'll take anything. And I can promise that you'll get good bang for your buck. Absolutely 100%, because we really value the support of our sponsors and partners. Yeah.
So Claire, you're about 10 years into this. What's next for you? What's on your radar? What would you like to accomplish? Is there another sport you're thinking of? Hey, yeah, I'm going to try that one too.
Don't tempt her. Don't tempt her.
There's definitely not another sport down the road. I stumbled upon podcasting and broadcasting about 4 years ago. First being interviewed about just talking about women's para hockey and the growth of it. And then a month later, as being invited to come and be a part of the show. And 4 years later, we still have a group running, and the show has been running almost 7 years. So I was brought on about halfway through, and this past year, Ontario Para Network has picked up the show as one of the sponsors and its main sponsor. And we've been able to record weekly and talk every week about not only para sports and the athletes and staff and everyone involved in that world, but we also cover pro sports as well. So broadcasting was an unexpected thing that came into my life, but it's something that I am definitely exploring into a long-term thing once I am one day retired.
Good for you. And podcasting for me was unexpected as well.
There you go.
Yeah, you never know.
You never know
how life's going to take you. And wonderful talking with you both. Congratulations on an amazing organization, and truly appreciate everything you both do and what you bring to people. And just it's exciting. Wow, I need to watch more, because it truly is exciting. Regular sports, if you want to call it that, is great, but this takes it to totally different competitive levels. It really does. Thanks for being here, both of you.
I'm glad, Steve. I'm glad we converted you. So you're one of our #1 fans. Thank you for your support, and for all of your interview skills are top notch. You're a real pro.
Thank you. You know what? I'm interested.
And you know what? If you ever want to come on the Neutral Zone podcast, we would love to have you as well.
I would love that. Yeah, message me. I'm there.
Amazing.
That'd be fantastic. All right. We'll talk soon.
Thanks. Take care.
Thank you. All right. We're coming right back.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, I mean, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
Mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house. And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned. This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.